Yep, we back at 8 o'clock in the morning. We've been here long enough for the time to change. I love that for us. Okay, I need the stand. That's what I'm looking for. Ooh, Lord, it's gonna be a doozy today, y'all. My brain is working real slow. Oh, whoops. My brain is working slow. Tea sounds good, and then it doesn't. Looking at that teapot. That teapot looks real sad. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I look kind of crazy today. We ain't gonna let that stop us or hold us back, okay? Do, 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 do. As we wait for more people to join the live, I'll introduce myself in just a second. But welcome to the morning message. Just it's taking y'all a minute to wake up. Me too. Let me do a little dancing and bust my little coconut for the morning. For the morning. Do, 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 do. That's a little one. They're so small. Good morning. Good morning. I love drinking fresh coconut milk. I love it. All right. And, the piece de resistance. And I'm kind of bougie, so I don't just drink it right out the coconut. I like to get a straw. You want a cocoa? Y'all say hi to Vic. Vic got her bonnet on today. She don't give a fuck. All right. Let's get into things, shall we? Shall we? Went foraging for my cocos yesterday. Oh, all right. Here we are. Let's do it. Let's do it. Good morning, everybody. Say hey in the chat, please, if you will. You're here. You might as well speak. I welcome y'all to the morning messages. My name is Alami Bashir, and I just woke up not too long ago, so my voice sound like that. I live in a third world country, so my outfit might look the same every day. I'm an executive life coach who happens to be intuitive. every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. I do a live intuitive morning message. These are channeled messages. I have no idea what theme or idea or concept that we're going to talk about today, but I know it's going to come from a high vibrational place. And it's probably going to be just the thing that you need to hear to move forward in your not just day, but your life, is what I'm hearing. So you can feel free to stick around for that or catch this replay if you don't have time right now. But this does feel like a message you want to capture today. Okay. You want to hear this one. And it feels like it's coming like in a very kind of interesting way. This message is flowing in. I feel very jazzy. I feel like a radio talk show host. Some of you all might just be listening without watching. And that's all good too. But it does feel like I got some stories to tell you today about yourself. It's like these are collective readings, so I don't know each of you individually to know what's going on in your life. But I feel like today I'm about to tell you about yourself in a very jazzy way. So let's get into it, shall we? By the way, for anybody who wants to learn more about me and what I do, go to begreateveryday.com. Okay, so so yeah, this is I feel like this is I want to say it's about your expansion. Okay, it's not just about who you are. It's not even about who you're trying to become. It is about the process by which you become it, the expansion. Okay. So, what do we mean by expansion? And you saw me look at a card, and I don't know why it was this particular card, but it says, I can expand time when I'm inspired. Okay. I can expand time when I'm inspired. So I feel like that's why we're talking about expansion, is because, and this is why so many of you need to hear this message, is because you look at expansion as a chore. Okay. When life starts testing you and calling for new versions of you and calling for more conscious and intentional versions of you, is you look at that as work. And we even use that language. I use that language. You got to do your work. You got to do your inner work. Don't nobody want to fucking do work. I don't even want to do work. While I do my self work. But work doesn't appeal to anybody. I'm getting a loud and clear message even for myself right now that I need to stop referring to people's emotional healing as work. It's like I'm getting a APB right now from Spirit. Stop calling emotional self-care work. Effective immediately. Okay. Noted. Okay. Expansion isn't work. Doesn't have to be work. Okay. Healing childhood traumas isn't work. Okay. Learning how to love yourself and appreciate yourself and celebrate yourself isn't work. Like, even if it's difficult for you to do, it need not be considered work. So I'm hearing expansion is a liberty. Okay. If you like to write notes, write that down. To be able to expand is a liberty. And we don't look at it like that. We don't look at adversities as liberties. Like, here comes that bullshit again. This fuck shit. We don't look at it like a liberty, like I get to. It's like I have to, right? Get through this or deal with that. We don't look at them as liberties. We don't look at adversities or challenges and obstacles as liberties, but that's what I'm hearing is expansion is a liberty. Okay. For every moment that challenges you, you are expanding. And every time you expand, you gain new liberties. This is a whole different mindset. Expansion opens up doors. When we learn something new about ourselves, when we master some self-defeating or self-limiting aspect of ourselves, we gain power. We don't lose power. When you have to work at something, you lose energy. This is a whole different perspective shift. Is that when you do self-love activities and when you do practice inner healing modalities, that's not work. That's care. Work is burdening, isn't it? Work, you gotta do stuff. You gotta do stuff. What's the difference between work and fun? Fun would be like we get to do. Not I gotta do. Anywho, we're talking about expansion. That's the conversation today, is the process of expansion. And what feels to be this mindset by which we approach this process of change and growth and development and maturity, right? We start making conscious decisions and intentional choices. That's the kind of expansion I'm talking about. To expand doesn't mean like to get bigger in weight. It's like going higher in your perspective, in your awareness of yourself, to expand in your self-awareness. Expansion happens when we do things like learn something new, whether it's through life or through a textbook. We're expanding our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding, all those things. We've got to look at the process of expansion in a different light, to where it's not work and it's not laborious, but it's a liberty. It's something that we can embrace with love, okay? Because it grows us to a new, higher level of understanding. Things that test us, that really test us, test your gangster, test your patience, test your imagination, it just tests us. Those things grow us. It's not work, it's growth. I feel like this message is kind of stupid. It's not stupid because it's not true. It's stupid. It's not stupid because it's not true. It's definitely true. Like, all of these things, it's true. You're talking to somebody who's gone through a lot of bullshit in her life. Like, I know I've grown from every lived experience that I've learned from all the things, but it's fucking stupid. Like, I'm someone who's self-reflective enough to be able to capture the glimmers of and the gifts that come in hard times. I'm able to like catch those things, not even necessarily in retrospect. Sometimes in real time, I can really embrace a lesson and a blessing that's coming in a hard moment. But that's nobody wants to just run around doing that. I mean, when I say not run around doing that, it's not that we want to run around with a negative mindset, but it's like we'd be like, fuck, again? Some other shit again? Some more shit again? You know, it's like we have a real human experience, a human response to challenges that I don't think is easy to overlook just because I know this is in my best interest. And I feel like I'm speaking for most people when I say that. We may be able to grow to a new place of maturity to recognize when hard things are happening, that it's not necessarily to tear us down, but it's actually gifting us with something in real time. We can recognize a process of expansion in real time sometimes, but just as a lifestyle habit, most of us are not there. We're not there, and we want to be mad. We want to be angry and resentful. We want to be bitter and fucking pissed and upset. We want to point fingers. We want to hold people accountable. We want justice to be served. That's where we be at. We don't be at all expansion. I embrace this expansion. That's just the real of it. But if we can start to come to like this radical acceptance of expansion in real time, and embrace that when things don't seem to be going our way, that they actually are. And that's one way to start to embrace expansion in real time, is that when you feel like things are definitely not going your way, is when you shift that narrative and look at how it is. You look for ways in which it is. I know it's hard. I'm telling you, I know it's difficult. That's why we say it feels like work, because it's challenging. Okay. But games are challenging. Are they not? Sports are challenging. These are environments, situations, and contexts where we expect a little resistance and we know we're not going to crumble under. We actually are meeting the resistance with mastery. We want to master it. Like, maybe this is a way to look at life, like a game, like something that has multiple levels that you want to conquer. And unless you can master that level, you don't get to go to the next one. Then guess what? Guess what? How you get to the next level is when you have challenges and obstacles and adversities. This is what games are made of, right? Take any video game. There's got to be a challenge in order for it to even be fun. If it's too easy, you don't even want to play it. You expect the challenge and the resistance to be there. You want to master it. You'll play it 100 times until you can get to that next level, to get past that one swamp. Holy cannoli.
Holy cannoli is hilarious. Who says that?
I don't know. I don't know where I got it from. So, kids, the card says I can expand time when I'm inspired. Okay. Now, this is making reference to the expansion in a different connotation or context, right? But is it? So we're talking about expansion to this point, like, personal growth, right? Spiritual development, intellectual development, expansion. Like I'm learning something new. I'm growing in some way. I'm evolving in a good way, right? Okay. And so this card is making reference to time. Being able to manipulate time. Hold on. I don't know what an airbender is. What is an airbender?
Just from my little knowledge, it has to do with, it's like the elements has to do with the laws of nature and elements, and a person that can actually defy the laws of nature and elements. So bend air, bend wind, or control the natural elements.
Okay, so someone that can control the natural elements around an airbender. Okay, because that's what I'm hearing is
Let me look at, because I guess,
that as we're talking about expansion of like a mental, spiritual, emotional, coming from that kind of reference, it's making reference to like how when we expand in those ways, we become kind of like these shapeshifters, these time benders, these air benders.
yeah. Okay, it says air bending. One of the four elemental bending arts is the aerokinetic ability to control and manipulate air. The peaceful air nomads utilize this type of bending in their everyday lives. The first airbenders learned their art from the flying bison. Air is the element of freedom.
Yeah.
Air is the element of freedom.
Okay, boom. Yeah. So even back to that conversation around like expansion equal liberty, I don't think I flushed that message out enough. Like expansion equals liberty because as we grow, okay, the key word is to grow, to evolve, to mature, to learn. Okay, to learn. Shit. Learn means that you no longer are relying on faulty information. You're relying on new information to make new choices. I mean, you're not making the same mistakes over again. To learn, to expand, to grow, mature. Okay. So it's like to when we are tested by life and forced into that kind of situation where we're forced to outgrow an old version of ourselves, it's like we become more free. Okay, it's like we literally, as life sometimes will deal us tragedies that make us outgrow an old version of ourselves. Okay, that's part of what happened for me. I had tragedy come into my life that forced me to have to start living life differently, doing something differently, no longer doing things the way I did it before. I outgrew that version of myself. I expanded. Okay, and in that expansion, it's like as we grow, we do become more free. We are free of things that we used to let hold us back. We are free of other people's judgments that used to stop us. We're free of certain fears that we no longer allow to halt us. It's like we become more liberated as we expand versus, again, mindset shift, the way we typically look at adversity and obstacle and challenge. We look at it as burden, we look at it as work, we look at it as things we've got to deal with, not things we get to do. Again, I'm very clear life can be hard and challenging, and we don't flip like switches when we're in, especially when we're activated emotionally. It's like your mind may understand all the things and all the perspectives and all the beauty that is unraveling right now, but at the same time you will have a physiological experience to things that you're like, oh my god, what is, your body still may react even though your mind is in a different place. So it's like we do become liberated when we can expand in the moment and we can shift our perspectives, even if it takes us a little while longer. Maybe it don't happen in the moment. Maybe it takes you a day. Maybe it takes you a couple days. Shit. But as long as you are shifting your mindset away from this, all this bad stuff has come to hurt and harm me versus it's come to help me grow. It's come to grow me, to show me, to help me get to know me, literally. Okay, it's like it's come to expand me. And when we can take on that kind of mindset, we do become shapeshifters and airbenders, and we defy our conditions, literally. It's like it no longer has the weight and gravity of punishment when you start alchemizing pain and challenge. When you start shifting that narrative, it now takes on a new momentum that literally allows you to defy, quote, reality. It's like, how many times have you talked to somebody who was grieving the loss of someone, but because they had a perspective shift, like, no, this person's no longer suffering. No, I'm happy that they don't have to be in pain anymore. It's like, no, I'm glad that they are not burdened by that body anymore. It's like that perspective shift, while they still may love and miss and long for that person, they can feel liberated by their grief because they know that person literally has been freed. So it's when we can expand in the moment, when we can shift our momentum from sadness and heartbreak and tragedy and grief and all these things in a moment, we can acknowledge it. I'm not saying deny it. I'm not saying, ignore it. It's like acknowledge it and alchemize it. Acknowledge it. That's how you are feeling about these challenging times. And then shapeshift it. Use it to your advantage. Get what it is trying to gift you through the experience. Okay? Get what it is trying to gift you through the experience. Woo, I know that's not easy, y'all. I do. Okay. The last piece of this card that I have to speak to is this source of inspiration. It says I can expand time when I'm inspired. Okay. When I'm inspired. So all of this kind of high vibrational mindset shifting that I'm suggesting is like, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. It's like when things hard, when tough times don't last for long, and all of these kind of positive mindset shifting statements we might tell ourselves in a moment of challenge. Like, okay, that's great. Um, but it's a lot easier to do that shape shifting when we are inspired, okay? When we know what we're doing it for and why. And so I want to be very clear that as I'm talking to you about shifting your language and shifting your mindset in real time when tough things happen, it's not because I said so that you should do it, okay? It's for you to pay attention what happens when you do it, okay? That when you stop allowing yourself to spiral down negative, thought patterns of what you're afraid of and what you don't want and what you hope doesn't happen, it's like when you get out of that trail of thought and stop to recognize how does it feel when you're in it, you probably won't allow yourself to keep doing that every time. It's like we be doing things that don't work and we keep doing it. It's like, damn, when I focus on shit from this perspective, I be feeling fucked up. Well, stop doing it. Stop focusing on that. You ever had somebody say, yeah, when I push right here, it hurts? Well, stop pushing right there. Stop pushing right there. Okay? Stop doing it. If you do something else and it brings you joy, it actually feels good. So if you do like this and that feels good, do that. Okay? Do that. And take that as kind of like a life hack. If something feels good, do that. If it doesn't feel good, don't do that. Okay? You will be inspired to shift your mindset and shift your attention and shift your perspective around things the more you pay attention to how it feels when you do it. I'll say it like that. The more you pay attention to how it feels when you do it, the more you may find inspiration in doing it. Okay? It's not about, trying to pretend like reality's not happening, like, going into this alternate universe of pretend of, meanwhile, your life is falling apart. All these dynamics are playing out right now. And it's not about, oh, I'm just, this is all happening for me. It's all not happening to me. It's for me. I don't suggest that you, pretend in those moments. You may have a very real moment of like, oh my God, my life is falling apart, and oh my God, this is happening, and all these things I can't control are going down. Oh my God. You may have a oh my God moment, okay? You give yourself permission to have the oh my God moment, okay, before trying to shapeshift out of anything. It's like you need to register what is happening in your physical experience, okay? That adds to the wisdom. You've got to let in all the depth and degree of that feeling for a second so that you can get clear about what is actually happening. as opposed to denying some parts of it and ignoring some parts of it and literally trying to be oblivious to other parts of it. Okay. So allowing yourself to really feel what's happening in the moment is important before you start trying to find the lesson, the blessing, the value. It's like that's a part of the experience. Feeling it is a part of the experience. That's a part of the wisdom bearing. Okay. To feel it. Okay. All right. Great day, Crystal and Angel. Good morning, childrens. Love y'alls to pieces. All right. So, yeah, we are talking about expansion and this process of growing and becoming. We be too fixated on where we're trying to get to. We're too fixated on trying to get away from where we're at to get to wherever this other place is. And there's the middle part that's happening. That's really the most important part. The process of change and transformation. The process of your expansion and growth. Okay, what is happening in the middle? Are you embracing the middle or are you trying to fast forward past the middle? I remember when I lost my boyfriend, I remember literally, I was telling Vic this the other day. I remember thinking to myself when it first happened, like, man, it's gonna be 3 years before I can even like be okay. 3 years. It's gonna be 3 years before I'm gonna really be able to just be okay. I was like, fast forward in 3 years. Because the thought of the day to day, of getting through day to day before those 3 years was like, fuck. It was like, fuck. So I knew I had 3 years, and I kept focusing on 3 years from now, I'm going to be able to have conversations about him and not cry. 3 years from now, I might even be in a different relationship. That definitely wasn't true. I started dating at least 3 years later, but yeah, I knew it was going to be 3 years. I was not trying to deal with the middle part of the expansion. 3 years to the date of his departure, I was a totally different person. And I could have never foreseen who I would become. But I kept just trying to focus on that because the day-to-day was too hard. But it was only when I learned how to manage the day-to-day that I actually got to this next level that I saw myself. And I'm far beyond anywhere I ever saw myself, to be honest with you. But it's like focusing on getting through the day is how I got here. It wasn't focusing on what it'd be like when I got here. I couldn't rely on that day to day. I was crying every day. I was trying to make myself get up and eat and go pay my bills and just take care of things around the house and my children. I was trying to do just basic functioning things. So that I had to start focusing on my moment to moment. I had to develop a strategy for how to master these feelings so that I could function in the day. This part of my story is literally my brand story. The great formula that many of you are familiar with, the great formula is how I've come to master myself in the midst of my expansion. Sorry. Whew. Yeah, it's like a real thing. That in the midst of a season of my greatest expansion, I had to really start managing myself differently day to day. And there were some things that I literally did day to day to help get myself through. Even though I had an intellectual understanding that all of these hard times and this difficult moment, I knew it was there to grow me and mature me. Gosh. I knew it was there for that, but that wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough to help me really get through each day. To just know everything was going to be okay was not enough to help me get through each day. Forgive me. But it makes me tremendously emotional because these strategies that I teach people in our coaching practice and in our programs, they are very much lived strategies. They are strategies that I know work because I know the depths of my despair. I know the depths of my despair. And so I know they work. So when I teach people to be great every day, it's not just a fun saying. That sounds cool. It really was my lifeline for a very important part of my life. It was literally my lifeline, day to day, to manage my attention. Because when I thought certain thoughts, I felt a way I didn't like. And when I started focusing on other things, I felt better. So the great formula, that G meaning to be goal focused, it wasn't that I woke up every day with a perfect list of things to do. It's like I woke up with an ambition to keep my mind focused on what I wanted to feel. Oh my God. Whew. What I wanted to feel and how I wanted my life to be. When I focused on that versus what I lost, I felt better. I might as well go through the formula because I'm literally, I guess, in the trenches of it. But this is how I navigated my expansion, is using this formula. The great formula, the G meaning to be goal focused, is I had to stay focused forward. I had to stay focused forward on what I was trying to do with myself. Where was I trying to go in my life? It's like I couldn't focus backwards on what I didn't have and what I couldn't do and what I now lost. I couldn't stay focused on that and feel good every day. I couldn't. So I had to start focusing on where I wanted to go. Like, what did this now free me to be able to do? And what am I now empowered? It's like all of a sudden I became like this grief expert just because of my lived experience. I became a pseudo widower and I had lens on that perspective. It was like I was just now looking at how do I alchemize this experience to continue to move forward because I know it's come to gift me with something, and as much as it feels bad. So it's like I could understand all of that, but I couldn't, that wasn't enough to get me through. So the G was to stay focused and to really maintain my attention, not letting my attention linger on things that didn't feel good. You know, the loss of memories I thought I was going to be able to create with him and all those kinds of things. The R in my formula, or as I'll say, our formula, because I welcome you to use it. These are some of the things, these are the mindset principles that got me through my expansion. The R is to be responsive to my own needs. To be responsive is to respond immediately to something without delay. And I made that my job. If I was ever never selfish in life, I was definitely selfish during that time. I had to be because I had to keep myself okay. I had to keep myself alive and okay. So learning to really pay attention to what I was needing in a moment, whether it was something to eat or a glass of water, or just to get out of bed or go for a walk. If I need to talk to somebody, if I need to start therapy, it was just like really hyper focused on paying attention to what my body needed, what my heart needed, what my mind needed. I was just really hyper focused on self care. It's like I couldn't control what was happening outside of me, but I could control what I did for me. Oh man, this is wild.
Let me get you some tissue.
So the R was to be responsive and to not just pay attention, but to actually act on what I was needing. And if I was needing things that I didn't feel like I had the energy or capacity for, I, I was lucky to have people in community that looked out for me. So if I didn't feel like cooking, you know, a girlfriend would either come over my house and cook or send some food or take me out. It's like I had people who did have my back, and I'm grateful for that. But it was prompted by my own initiating what it is that I felt I needed. Um, the E in the great formula is to be encouraging toward yourself and your situation. And so it's always it's all about having a positive mindset and a positive perspective, and even more greater than that, it's maintaining positive self-talk. So to be encouraging towards yourself and your situation, we know what it's like to be positive and encouraging toward others, but it's not always easy for us to do for ourselves. So I was very intentional to just make sure that I was not allowing my self-talk to linger in negativity too much, and that I was doing things like trying to neutralize it. I wasn't trying to be super positive because I didn't feel authentic. Talking a time and a season of my life where I was just purely devastated. So it didn't feel natural and didn't feel honest for me to just be saying affirmations and just saying general things like everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be okay, and it didn't feel okay. So even saying things like it's not going to be this bad tomorrow. And just being intentional about how I couched my own language in conversations, how I positioned myself in conversations. It's like I didn't want to talk about myself as a victim and the woe is me and how sad and you know just so devastating. And it's like I just wouldn't allow myself to talk like that. And it was clear that it was unfortunate and that it was not a desirous experience, but I just wouldn't allow myself to victimize myself in it. You know, even down to things, I just wouldn't allow myself to do that. I kept thinking that, you know, somebody lost their child. This was just my partner, but like his mother lost her child. So just trying to keep some layer of perspective around it all. It was just a lot of focused attention, a lot of really intentional and conscious intention on where I allowed my attention to go. And that's really what the great formula is about. But the E was about being encouraging. The A in the formula is about being adaptable to changing circumstances. And so it really was, there's so much in that. This notion of being flexible in our thinking, flexible. You know, you don't think flexible in your thinking means, you know, to reimagine your life without somebody you love. When you start making plans for your future and then that other half of the plan is not present, talk about having to pivot, right? That's a pivot that most people in loss really find difficult. You know, you have to develop new normals. So the A in the great formula is just about that. It's about developing a new normal. It's being adaptable in your mindset. It's looking for multiple solutions to a problem or multiple ways to go about change in a situation. And so for me, to be adaptable, that took shape in a lot of different forms. Honestly, just having to accept a new reality. Um, in this season of my life, I had not met a partner that had changed my life any more profoundly until him. And and having to accept that that had come into my life, changed it miraculously in all these magical ways, and then was not there anymore. That was a whole thing. So having to kind of rewrite my story again. You know, I had a story before that person, and then that person came, the story was rewritten, and then the story had to rewrite again. So just being able to be willing to rewrite the story again, to know that the story still goes on, and being willing to rewrite it again. Um, Also, doing things different day to day, not pressuring myself to have to get back into a routine or a schedule, but really allowing myself to intuitively do what felt resonant during that season. And I know a lot of you don't have that liberty because you are employed, and so therefore you have somewhere to be every single day or most days. Um, Even if you're working from home, you don't necessarily have that kind of unrestricted freedom. I did at that time during my expansion. I had unrestricted freedom because I took time off of work to grieve and to heal. And so for me, I could change a lot of things in my life. I was experimenting with all kinds of different routines and self care strategies. I mean, that was literally when I also came here to Costa Rica for the first time. So I do say that to say also that you don't have to leave your environment in order to become more adaptable in your thinking. Okay. An adaptable mindset is just not being rigid and fixed. It's just not staying focused on what was. It's allowing in now new possibilities, new perspective, new potential, new ideas. Okay. It's just allowing, again, there's multiple ways to solve a problem. There's multiple ways to look at a problem, and there's multiple ways to kind of sort through challenges in the problem. So to be adaptable was something that to be flexible, to be willing to try different things, to see what soothed me. That was also important. And the last component of the great formula, and um, probably in my opinion the most important, is the T is to be trustful. And it's to be trustful in your instincts and trustful in the process and the potential of something. And in as much as my intellectual tried to really make sense of why that situation had to happen that way, why he had to come in my life, change it dramatically, and then leave suddenly, my mind could not and still cannot really make sense of that because it doesn't make sense from a reason and rationale perspective. But when I allowed myself to trust that there was a bigger story unfolding, and boy, is it ever! If we fast forward my life 8 years, um, I had to believe, even during that time, I knew that I would experience love again. It was like I had a meta experience. It's like I knew I would experience love again. I knew I would experience love even greater than that, and I thought I was crazy for believing it. And I thought I was crazy for believing it. I didn't understand, even in my own intellect, why I would feel that. I also didn't know I was psychic at that time. Vic's over here doing like posing. Yeah, I felt it in my soul, but I also thought I was insane given the experience I had just had with somebody that was out of this world. I was insane to believe that it could be better and that I could experience it again in the same lifetime. I thought I was insane. And then here's today with a bonnet on in the middle of the jungle doing life with me. So that formula has carried me, bro. And that I know that formula can carry you. These are just general principles to live by, maintaining your attention and your energy, being very intentional about where you put your attention and your energy. I was very intentional to maintain my attention. I just stayed focused on I just stayed noticing what I was focusing on. And I drew the correlation between what I was focusing on and what I was feeling. That's what that formula gifted me. A way to pay attention to my attention. And a way to start shape-shifting my experience by just shifting my attention. Even though my, quote, reality had not changed.
You just uncovered a whole new layer of your brand story.
That is my brand
I
story.
know, but I'm just saying.
Oh.
I've never heard you contextualize that in that much detail before.
Yeah, I have. I've done podcasts telling this story. So this is why that matters to me. To be great every day. When you hear me say that, that's why that matters to me. To be great every day, no matter what. It's the no matter what. Is because to be great is a self-focused inquiry, is a self-care system. It doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. It's like it's a self-check. It's a self-check. Where am I putting my focus? Am I taking care of myself? Am I being positive in my self-talk? Am I being flexible and rigid in how I can work through this? And am I trusting God? Am I trusting myself? Am I trusting this process to unfold in my favor? Like, those are the principles that carry me in my expansion. To be great every day, no matter what. I maybe didn't feel great every day, but I chose to manage my attention, my energy in that way every day. To show up and be great. Ashe, Lord. I hear you, Lord. Ashe. That's what you can do with yourself in the middle. Be great every day, no matter what. Show up in your greatness. Keep your attention focused on what you want. Keep it focused on your self-care. Keep it focused on your self-talk. Keep it focused on your overall mindset and your flexible nature. Don't be fixed. Don't stay focused on the past and what you can't do. Have a growth-oriented mindset. And trust in what you can't see. Trust in the power of what you can't see. Whether you call it God or untapped potential, intuitive wisdom. It's like trusting in an outcome that you can't see in front of you. That's how you manage your expansion. All right, last card here. It says wake up call. Okay. Wake up call. You're about to discover your life purpose. Wake up call. You're about to discover your life purpose. Well, hot damn. Wake up call. So, we talking expansion. Remember I said expansion, you gain new wisdom, new knowledge, new understanding, new superpowers, new gifts. You get new liberties. It's a season of new. If you feel like life is hard, get ready. Get ready. It's a season of new. Okay. Yeah, man. When I tell you life was hard during that expansion, understatement. Understatement. I mean, I was gutted. I never knew. I've heard that word and I could imagine what that feels like, but I felt that shit. And it don't feel good. To get some news that just guts you, like, you ever been punched in the stomach? You ever got the wind knocked out of you? Like, it really feels like that, but nobody touches you. It really feels like you've gotten the wind knocked out of you. You feel, depleted. The worst time of my life ever brought me the greatest transformation. That's a wake-up call. You are about to discover your life purpose. You could not have told me this would be my life story after that season. You could not have told me. A bitch is a whole psychic intuitive. What? Bitch, what? So you really do be knowing shit? You just getting on getting on everybody's nerves, telling them all this shit that you know and acting like you know everything? Oh, because bitch, you really be knowing. Bitch be knowing. So, yeah, life has changed quite dramatically in the last 8 years, to say the least. For being a whole psychic intuitive medium for pay, for still being an entrepreneur. My sole income comes from my business. To being in an incredible relationship with this crazy woman over here. Literally my best friend. Literally my other half. My peanut butter to my jelly. I'm literally paving new way in the world for people to heal themselves. I make a tremendous wage doing what I love, helping create impact and transformation in individuals and organizations and communities. I could not have written this story, and the story continues. You see me crying this morning, not because I'm just reliving the story, but because I'm actively doing things with this formula that saved my life. To watch this formula 8 years later take wings in the way in which it is and will is crazy. I remember as I was developing this formula saying, stopping production on this formula development, because I said to myself, who am I to tell a grieving mother that she can too be great every day when she's lost her child? And do you know, Spirit 5 years ago put me in community with a woman who just lost her child and had me in community with this woman, and she learned the great formula and attested to me. I will never forget that day. And testified to me how that formula was helping her get through. I'm just never gonna forget that. This shit is so real. So I know I am already well into living my life purpose, but this is your wake-up call. This is your wake-up call that it's time for you to really live yours. And I love that for y'all. It's been my dream to have a vacation lifestyle, and I have it. Yeah. Everything that I just described to you is everything that I've been working really hard for a long time.
And at a time where I was really scared and really in the dark about what I was gonna do. I just knew I couldn't continue at my job. I was really scared, but I was also really sad. I was really unhappy already, but I was also really sad. And sad and unhappy, it broke the camel. It was enough. It was not sustainable. So I hope for you it doesn't take something as tragic to prompt you to take action in your life. But that was what it was for me. It wasn't until then that I was like, I was already kind of thinking about it and preparing, but like life dealt me to just the context and conditions to like have to really take action. And I was terrified. I just have felt like my back was against the wall. I had no other choice but to quit. I had no other choice but to quit, bro. So yeah, life is wild, y'all. You just never know what is next unless you lean into it. And you can't lean into it blindly. You have to lean into it following your higher power. You got to know that you got to develop that connection. And when you have a clarity in that connection, you have a clarity in how to make decisions that are going to keep you safe. You have a crystal clear clarity of how to move in life in a way that is aligned for you. You can't just jump out here trying to use your thinking mind to make all the decisions and think it's going to work out. It's not. That's why you should be afraid. If that's your approach, you should be afraid because it's not going to work. It's not sustainable. So, my life has changed in so many ways for so many reasons. Obviously through that life experience, but on the back end of that is learning human design and learning how I best function, learning what I'm here to do. I didn't learn what I was here to do through my human design, but I had it validated. It was what I was already feeling like I'm purposed to do. And it was like, oh shit, I really am here for this. I really am here for this. The right angle cross of the breakthrough, I really am here for that. To help people break through limiting beliefs, I really fucking am born for that. I have a superpower for that. I have a knack for helping people do that. It wasn't that I didn't know that. It was like, it confirmed this is what you're here to do. I'm like, word. This is the shit I love. This is the shit I love to do already. So, anywho, I feel complete with these messages. These be the messages that I want to delete. I'm gonna let it ride. This is really a part of my incarnation as well, is I'm supposed to be sharing, just as this unfolded, the way I'm designed, I'm supposed to be sharing my life story. And I'm supposed to be sharing the challenges and things that I've overcome and how I've overcome them. And I did not set out to share all of this today, but this is what was supposed to be shared in this intuitive message. And I'm grateful for that. It was a nice walk down memory lane to really show myself how far I've come. And that feels really good. So I thank y'all for holding space for this conversation. I think it's important that you all see people like me in these kind of vulnerable moments. And as much as my ego mind is cringing at every turn, I also understand why it's important. And I think it is very important because for many of you, you see me as a symbol and pillar of strength and confidence. And that is true. But there is a way in which I have to go about it so that I can honor my human self that is afraid at times and super scared and super unsure and super second guessing. Like, you need to know that that is a part of my experience also. In as much as I may, quote, make it look easy. It may look easy, but it doesn't come without mastery. It looks easy because I've practiced, I've lived and learned, and I apply. And what you see is my application. But it's important that I talk about the expansion. And I'm sure Spirit will continue to snatch it out of me like days like today. Um, and not because I don't want to share these aspects of my life, it's just that I forget. I forget the due diligence that I have put in. I'm at a different level in myself to where it's like, you know, once you lifted enough weights, when you lift a 5 pound, you don't even pay attention that you've lifted it. It's not even a challenge. It's just something you do. So I appreciate these moments where I have to go back to times when I really was in despair. Um, and not just through grief, you know, grief was a whole activator, but I had other problems in my life, particularly at that time. I had other shit going on. So I'm grateful. Oh, I appreciate you all saying that. Thank you, Angel and Jordan. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, it's some craziness, man. So, you know, what you see is the new and improved version. What you see is the person who has done her self-care and her self-love and continues to and has to. Okay, it's not a mastery. I'm done. It's over. I'm still living. I'm still being tested. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still becoming. Um, so yeah, there's a way to have it all. Um, there's a way to navigate this 3D experience and not let it, you know, rock your shit every time. There's a way to get to a place of mastery to where you can look in the face of adversity and smile and welcome it and receive it in real time and honor your own human experience and reaction to it in real time. There's a way to have it all. But again, it comes with mastery. It comes with the right intention, okay, and the right self-care practices. So I hope y'all stay connected, okay? If you haven't already gone to BeGreatEveryday.com to learn more about who I am and what I do, I invite you to do so. We have so much in store. I can't even talk about it right now because I'm just in such a different frequency right now. But if you go to BeGreatEveryday.com/events, you'll see that we're hosting Human Design in a Nutshell again. For those of you who missed it, you'll be able to catch it. It's April 1st to the 4th, Human Design in a Nutshell, for those of you who want to learn more about your human design. We're offering a 4-part series that's 90 minutes each day. So quick hitters each day for 4 days. So go to BeGreatEveryday.com/events to learn more about that. Man, y'all got me today. This is very interesting today. I'm really giving thanks to God today. I'm very, 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 very grateful. I'm very, very grateful. Yeah. All right. Bing. Love y'all. Have a great day. No matter what.